presentation, but I just wanted to welcome you to our virtual collectors show and tell tonight here at 6 p.m. Thank you for joining us during our opening week extravaganza here at the Old Stonehouse Museum, zooming from our homes. And I wanted to, also really appreciate all the work that Mihaela Nyberg, who is on this Zoom call, did to prepare and get us to this point amid a number of things that were happening in her life. So we're very happy that she's able to join us tonight. And I will go ahead and turn it over to the Associate Director of Operations, Bob Hunt, to introduce his collection, and then certainly we would love for people to share anything new to their collection or anything that you're interested. I got a new book from my collection, so I'm happy to share that. But I will go ahead and turn it over to Bob, because I know he's going to do a little screen sharing. And please, anytime you would like to ask a question, I can certainly pause him and make sure those questions get heard. So Bob, take it away.
Well, nice to see everyone. And behind me, I'm in my music room in West Glover, and these are the Rambilli Cousins. There are 24 of them, and they were created by Gayleen Aiken, who was an outsider artist, and she was discovered by another artist, Don Sinceri, who was the founder of the Grace program in Hardwick, and he was got to know Gayleen through some art workshops that he was teaching, and he recognized immediately that she was really somebody special. And Gayleen then kind of zoomed into some prominence in the outsider artist world and has been highly collected in folk art circles. And I'm lucky enough to live in a house that has 24 of the cousins. Gayleen was probably what we call on the spectrum today. She was born about 1934, 1935, and was bullied in school. She was an only child, and she created this family because she didn't have one. It's kind of this is Gayleen's world, not the world that she lived in as it was, but as it should have been. And she created this family, and she was very prolific. She wrote comics, she painted paintings, and she had all kinds of interests. I'm going to pull up another painting. Let's see if I can. This is a kind of a large one that has almost everything that she was interested in it. It has the granite plants in Barrie, because she grew up in Barrie and she was fascinated with the granite industry. She loved, her father had a kind of a junk shop in their big old antique house, and he had Nickelodeons and player pianos, and she was obsessed with those. And she just was really quite an amazing person. Anyway, so I think I'll share my screen and do and show my slideshow about Gayleen. And I think let's see, under view, I can present. Okay, here we go. And so here's the beginning. Gayleen Aiken's Rambilli Cousins. This is Gayleen that you see here with the cousins. And the other picture is of a big country house. It was one of the themes that she was always doing. And here I'll tell a little bit of her life. Beverly Gayleen Aiken was born in Barrie, Vermont on March 25th, 1934 to Irwin W. and Vera Aiken. She lived most of her life in Barrie, though moved many times around central and northern Vermont through both her childhood and adult life. She proved to be an artist from an early age. As she was an only child, she created a family of 24 cousins, the Rambillis, to keep her company, and then they became an integral part of her art. Though she lacked a formal education, she eventually became a known figure in the world of outsider art. In the 1980s, she was discovered and befriended by Don Sinceri, who used his grassroots arts organization, GRACE, to foster, promote, and share Aiken's artistic vision. She continued creating her idiosyncratic magical art until her death in 2005. Her works are part of the permanent collection at the Rockefeller Museum of American Folk Art in Williamsburg, Virginia, and the Smithsonian American Art Museum in Washington, D.C. She was featured in the J. Craven movie Gayleen in 1985 and co-wrote and illustrated a book regarding her art, Moonlight and Music, which was published in 1997. And there's the cover of the DVD, the Gayleen movie, and the cover of the book, Moonlight and Music. The front cover is one of the paintings that we have here in the house. And let's see, I'll move on. She began making art at an early, okay, we've read about this. Bullied in school, she dropped out after 8th grade and was homeschooled by her parents. Her father died when she was a teenager, and her mother was forced to sell the family home, at which time they moved into an apartment in Barrie. She spent the rest of her life living in apartments, but always dreamed of moving back into one of these big Victorian homes. So that was very much part of what she wanted to do. Let's see. There. And I'm going to start, you can meet the cousins. I'm going to start a little movie that I made of the cousins here in my house. I'm sorry I never met Gayleen, because she and I would have hit it off, because I also love player pianos. And Gayleen could be rather difficult because she had a very intense personality, and it was hard. She would talk and talk and talk and play piano roll after piano roll and play record after record, and she could really exhaust you. And that's the cardboard cutout of a Nickelodeon machine, like the one that her father had when she was little. And now we're coming around to the corner of the music room where the cousins are all tacked up on the wall. There's another one of her paintings. And here are the cousins. There, we'll stop that and we'll go on, hopefully. There. Now here are the cousins again in my music room. These are just made out of cardboard. There are two sets of them. The Grace program in Hardwick has one set, and I've got the other set here in Glover. Don Sinceri had her make this set because he was afraid that something might happen to her set because she was pretty active with them. And about 5 years ago, the cousins took a trip to New York and were in a gallery in New York City, and they made the front cover of the weekend edition of the Weekend Arts section of the New York Times. This is typical, the picture of the big green house. It's typical of her yearnings for the big country farmhouse. This is actually the music room here in this house. She used to visit here when Dawn lived here, and they'd go sledding. And it's funny that where you see the two small windows, there's a diamond window up at the top, and beneath that we have a deck with a sliding glass door. But Gayleen didn't approve of sliding glass doors in old houses, so she refused to draw the house with that sliding glass door because she didn't like it. So instead she put in what she considered the proper kind of windows for a house to have. But I'm sitting right in front of that piano right now. She also often included chandeliers and the old lighting fixtures in her work. And even though she was self-taught, she she could really do things with light, and and her skies and her moons are really pretty nifty. Here's what I call a typical Gayleen sky. That's sunset over Vermont quarries. She loved painting these interiors with the cousins, making music. Here's fireworks. Again, Nickelodeons. This is one that she did after a sledding trip here in West Glover. And that's sort of sliding hill. And then the mountains in the background are Lowell Mountain.
Bob? Bob, this is Mary. Can you hear me?
I can.
My question is, what is her medium for her pictures?
She did a lot with tempera. She did a lot with crayon. The cousins are all
Cardboard, you said, right?
Yeah, the cousins are all cardboard, and it's paint, and then some of them it's just crayon.
Okay.
And sometimes she would cut out fabric and materials to make clothing.
Wow.
But she worked in a variety of mediums and acrylics too, and was
Wow,
really
it's
very prolific.
amazing. So does the second set are they identical to the first set?
The faces are very similar.
Yeah.
They might be wearing different clothes, the two different sets, but there are 24. And
well, they would have grown up a little, right?
Yeah. She was really an interesting character, and I'm sorry that she passed away just before I got to know people who knew her. And because I think she and I would have had a great time together, but we probably bore everybody else who was in the room with us. But I think she would have been a lot of fun. If everybody's willing, I'm going to show a little bit. You can see her in action. Jay Craven is letting me.
I had a question for you, Bob. Sorry to interrupt.
Who was her favorite cousin?
My favorite cousin?
Well, who was Gayleen's favorite cousin?
Oh, hard to, probably this one. I don't know, are you seeing her?
Mm-hmm.
That's Galina, not Gayleen, but Galina. But I think she varied. Maybe she'll tell us. I'm going to share my screen again and go to the Jay Craven video. And she's in her 50s here, but she was very, uninhibited.
When I was only 2 years old, and I took my grandma to this picture. Picture on it from the and we cast to be able to place it and save it. It was one of the first pictures of me was about 2 years old. It was all the trees around the house. I made these Rambilli Cousins a lot of years ago when I was a very young girl in early grade school. I don't know just what age I started making them. I had made up the Rambilli Hill Star itself when I was only 3 or 4 years old, I guess, before I went to school. I made scribblings and paper tablets and write little hoops and everything I was writing. They're supposed to still be teenage children kind of. Well, young ages, several ages of children, there's plenty called children. This is kind of the only Rambilli. From one house about Rambilli. I give her pictures, fast, clothes, oranges, everything. Rambilli. I can't find tricks there. It's like you're saying. That's thanks. Howdy, folks. Grand Halo there. I'm Ben Greenwood. Howdy there. Oh, just a little irritating voice there. This is Dad Greenwood. Howdy there. Howdy, I'm Mrs. Rambilli Mom. From on the Rambilli Hill. That's grand times. There's Buttercup Rambilli, and she's like Buttercup by Nickelodeon and Nelson Riggin. She walks the auction and lay around town in the antique shop. Buttercup likes to dance around Nickelodeon. She's got a beautiful cake with a grand piano and music notes on it. This and other types of beautiful dance. Tom the Clown. Hi there, hi. I'm Tom the Clown. Peter the Clown, sometimes I call myself. Hi, I'm Golly Nah. Not Golly, but Golly Nah. Here's Johnny. I answered by laughing. That's my way. He's always a joker. Hi, you beautiful. Oh, stop it. I'm your cousin. You guys make your neckties early on when you was saying. Oh, Johnny, it's just too much. That's cousin Johnny, a little Addie and cousin Johnny. This is Chelsea, y'all. Jim, hi ho, hi ho. Oh, get the old dogs if they have a ball and that sheep, hi ho. Here is Peter. This is Peter Ranger. Little Peter. And here is Julie, y'all, with beautiful orange hair. And this is Jackie. Judicia. Blackie and sometimes she calls her stew, like, stewed tomatoes and things. And this is Bim Bom Bell. Bim Bom, Bim Bom, Bim Bom, Bim Bom. I can sing. Bim 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 Bom Bell.
I really liked that she created personalities for all of them. I didn't, she really took it to
yes, they all had
another
such
level.
personalities, and she could do their voices.
Yeah. And they
she
all
really
had
was quite the character.
smiles. I thought that was interesting that sort of every character she seems to create is smiling, very inviting. And I like that idea that if the world hasn't created it for you, you create it for yourself. Like that she really did that and took it to creating personalities and everything. I mean, I just think it's amazing.
There's a really cute scene in the movie when they've got a little cat, a little kitten, a black and white kitten, and Gayleen is holding one of her cardboard cats, and the real living kitten is playing with it, and Gayleen goes, "I want her," but they often had to be careful because she kind of loved the cats a little bit too much. She was always wanting to put clothes on them and put them in baby carriages, and they had to kind of watch out for the cats a little bit because Gayleen was a little too much for them sometimes. But all her cats were Susie cats. And this is one that lives here on the baseboard, and she made quite a lot of those. Yeah,
with a lot of energy. You could really, I mean, that was amazing just to see.
She was incredibly prolific. She, from the time she was a little girl until she died, she did nothing but art. She never held a job, but she did toward the after she got discovered, she was making some money on her work and was able to buy a new player piano. Was one of the things that they bought for her with money that she made from her art, because she always wanted to replace the Nickelodeon that her father had that got sold in the auction after her father died. She even mentioned it in the video clips there. That video, as Mary probably recognized, that video was filmed at Lake Willoughby.
Yeah, on the North Beach. I thought she was going to dip her in. I kept hoping that she wasn't going to put her in the water. Almost.
And when they brought her there with all of her artwork and all her things, she thought they were moving her into Fox Hall, and she didn't want to leave. She thought she was going to stay, that they found this wonderful house for her to live in. So.
Wow.
It's so sweet.
But anyway, her work is a lot of fun, and I enjoy having it around.
Yeah.
We have a governor in Vermont, Bob, whose last name was Aiken, I believe.
George Aiken.
Is that a relation, do you know? Or
not that I know of. He was from southern Vermont, and Gayleen was from Barrie. Whether there was any connection to George, I haven't done the genealogy to find out.
Well, they're really wonderful. I didn't know about this. I'm excited to learn about it and to know that you have all these people in your house.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, and I feel like your collection is a lot like mine with Edward Gorey, where he was originally a self-taught artist, and then he studied everyone possible and created worlds of his own, because he was actually kind of a recluse. He was very social up until like after college, and then he kind of became a recluse. But I was so excited because I got my latest book, which is all about Edward Gorey, sort of the latest one, and I just got it in the mail. So now I have 24 books, and I have one to read to learn more about it.
That's
Nice.
great. I absolutely adore Edward Gorey.
Yes.
Love his work. And when I was a kid, when I was teaching school, I used to always read the John Bellairs book, The House with a Clock in Its Walls, which was a favorite read aloud of mine. And with all the illustrations were by Edward Gorey.
Yeah, I didn't realize how
Yeah.
much and he tried to like live off his drawings, but living in New York City and just making, he realized illustration was what was going to allow him to make a living. But it was the same thing how, Galen wanted to buy that player piano. He finally made the Dracula set, and he did so well by it. He was able to buy a house in Cape Cod for himself. Otherwise, that was like his dream to go to Cape Cod. But I just think it's sort of fascinating. Like they've channeled all their energy into one thing, and then as soon as people recognize sort of the genius behind it, it takes off, and it really is an aid to them in their life.
Oh, he was so great. We had the pop-up book when my children were little. We absolutely destroyed it. We wore it right out. And I guess it's a collector's item now. And I wish we wore our copy of it just completely out. We had so much fun with it when the kids were little.
Absolutely.
I wonder if Evan and Adim have any questions for you.
Sure.
Any questions there?
Or maybe they'd like
No.
to do some show and tell.
Anything you want to share that might be new as a part of your collection? I was excited to get my new book this past week.
I guess not. They're not a good time of the night, maybe.
No, I
was
think
gonna.
Well, I enjoyed this very much, Bob. Thank you for sharing them.
Adim was
My
gonna
pleasure.
share if you don't mind.
Sure. Go ahead, Adim. What would you like to share?
I'm gonna bring a bear that has a big story behind it.
Oh,
Awesome.
good.
Great.
Thank you for sharing. Aha. This is the one we saw a little bit earlier, isn't it?
Not that one though.
Oh, okay.
This dude.
Ooh, okay.
And he's my oldest one.
Ah.
Was it my older sisters, then my older brothers, and then mine?
Wonderful.
So yeah,
How old is it then?
no idea.
Well, she's almost 17.
And then people had it before that.
And then yes, this didn't come to us new. So
Okay.
it was probably about 5 years old when it came to us, and then the sister's 17.
22.
Yeah, so that's 22 years.
That's a good looking
22
bear. Good looking bear for 22 years old.
Uh-huh.
It looks like it's been loved quite a lot too.
Slept on and dropped food on.
Everything on.
Everything
And so yeah, I've thrown this one out of the car. Where was it, Shaw's?
Yes, I think we went shopping.
And I threw this one out of the car. And we got home, and I think Evan, my brother, noticed that he's not here. And our dad went back to get him and found him.
Oh,
on
wow.
the pavement.
Good recovery.
Yeah, someone else didn't scoop him up to love him. You're lucky you got him back.
Yes, I think Adim decided to that the bear needed some air, so he pulled the hand out of the window of the car.
How old was I?
You were 2 or so. And then just dropped it.
Well, he wanted to come home to you.
Yes,
Yeah.
Paddington Bear.
Mhm.
Well, thank you for sharing and bringing out your oldest bear from your collection.
Oh, this is my oldest. This is my newest.
They get bigger. over time. That's great.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening.
Oh, sure. Thank you for sharing your bears with us. That's wonderful. Did you have anything you wanted to share, Mary, or you were just...
Well, I don't know, compared to bears, I feel like my collections are so boring, you know?
I know
mean,
you
they're
have
kind of like old lady collections, you know? What I have around me, I'll show you a little bit of my, I don't know if I can, but you can see some pictures on the walls of, I'm in my studio where I do my rug grading. And on my walls, I have a collection of Wallace Nutting prints, which I've collected over about, 10 or 15 years or so. And they're all prints of Wallace Nutting interiors. And they're also, what they have in common is that they also all have at least one braided rug in the picture. And so I kind of did just for my own interest, kind of did a self-directed study of Wallace Nutting interiors and braided rugs. And his wife made these braided rugs or had them commissioned by other people for his prints. And so I have a collection of them to fill my walls here as part of my lessons to my students when I talk to them. And Wallace Nutting is kind of an interesting character. I'm sure Bob knows a great deal about him. He's
Actually, when I lived in Morgan, I bought a little farmhouse from Bill and Mary Hatton, who owned a number of properties in Morgan. Matter of fact, they lived the house right across the street from the one that I bought from them. And Bill Hatton's father had made most of his money in the printing business in Connecticut or Massachusetts, I think. But anyway, it was his printing firm that printed the prints for Nutting. And the Hatton's house, Bill Hatton Sr. married a girl from Derby, Elizabeth Taylor Hatton. In fact, the school in Morgan is named after Elizabeth Taylor Hatton. And they had all kinds of Wallace Nutting furniture in their house as well. It was, I always thought that was interesting that Bill Hatton, the man I bought this house from, his father ran the company that did the printing for Wallace Nutting of those prints.
Yeah. Wallace Nutting took photographs, platinum photographs, which were then colored, but with colored individually with and he had a sort of a bevy of young women who did the coloring, who were colorists for him. And they ultimately then became the models in the colonial garb for these interior pictures that I have on my wall here. And he's an interesting character. Sometime, Bob, we should put something together about Wallace Nutting, because he really is an interesting character at the turn of the last century, and was kind of a Renaissance. It was kind of like, to quote someone else, and I'm not sure exactly, I don't remember my citations, but to quote someone else, he was kind of like a Martha Stewart, in that he was all over the place and doing a whole bunch of things. And, at the same time,
the furniture.
He was very full of himself, and everybody else was very full of talking about him. And they still bought his prints. That's the point. And made him, he was a very wealthy man, finally.
I think there's one in the Hall House, a faded kind of Lake Willoughby print by Nutting. In the
Hall I wouldn't be surprised. He did many, many, many exterior. He probably only did 10 or 15% of his work were interiors. But he did, and he also wrote numerous books. He wrote books called X Beautiful, like Vermont Beautiful, Connecticut Beautiful,
New Hampshire,
Beautiful, Maine Beautiful, like that. And he wrote those books with largely outdoor pictures of apple blossoms and waterfalls and streams and all those kinds of things, which sold during the early 1900s, 1910s, and whatever. And somewhere in about 1910, when he was living in Southbury, Connecticut, supposedly his wife made the suggestion on a rainy day that he take some indoor pictures. And so he started staging these indoor colonial pictures with her braided rugs in them. And it's the braided rugs that get me because I'd like to know if there's still one around. And because I've done restoration on 100-year-old rugs. And so I put out on a blog one day to ask, does anybody know if any of these rugs still exist? Because I'd love to see. And someone said, oh no, they're too old. They won't, they won't survive. But I know better because I'm in that field. So anyway, that's what's on my walls over here. That's
Yeah,
my
those are great.
collection of things. And
Great. Well, thank you, Mary, because I think you
Sure.
inspired, I think you also
Sure.
inspired Evan to share a little bit more of his collection.
Yes,
So
yes,
thank you
please.
for sharing yours. That's great.
Yeah. Evan, you got something?
Yeah, I quickly went through my collection and just picked out good ones. Yeah. So this is the oldest coin I have. It's a Spanish silver 8 reales. Reales? Reales? Reales from 1789.
Oh, wow.
It
Wow.
might be from
How old?
1789.
1789, it sounds like.
Wow.
Wow.
Ooh, you might have to pull the coin back so we can hear you, because let's see.
We haven't taken it to an expert yet, so we don't know the value of it.
Oh, interesting. Wow. Look at
Yeah.
the design on there.
My rarest coin is a 1912 20 cents Canadian 20-cent coin.
That's interesting.
They made 230,000.
So this is your favorite coin, of which
No,
they,
this is the rarest coin I have.
oh, the rarest. 230,000. Wow. And a 20-cent coin from Canada.
I buy books like these, and in these books, there's every single date of the year made,
Right.
and I try to fill them all.
Right.
And I filled 4 books fully.
Oh my
Wow,
goodness.
look at that.
Nicely done.
I know someone who has a collection of squished pennies, Evan, who collects pennies and then travels around the country and has them squished because the squish machines there's actually on the web, you can find a listing of where there are squish machines in the
Yeah.
country.
I know museums have a bunch of them. So yeah, and you right, you collect up from all the places you visited.
Uh-huh.
Whoa, you got, yeah, look at all these books and you're all full. Oh my goodness.
Wow, look at that. Good for you.
Yeah, it takes some dedication.
That's right.
And these 3 books are by far my favorite collection. My favorite coins to collect. These are Liberty Walking Half Dollars.
Oh, okay. Walking Liberties?
Yes.
Is that what they're called? Yeah.
Yeah.
Of the Mercury dimes.
Wow.
Very shiny. Got quite a few of them too.
So where do you get them from? Other coin shows? Is that where you go to get these kind of things?
No, I don't go to coin auctions or shows. Usually a lot of our friends just have a box of coins laying around in their house. So they would give it to us.
Uh-huh.
These are buffalo nickels.
Oh, look at that. Oh my goodness. You have a lot of them, but a lot you still don't, right? So that's your goal, is to get those filled in, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are
Wow.
great. Love those buffalo nickels.
I know,
Yeah.
I haven't seen one of those in a very long time.
And this one is a newer version of Nichols. It's Jefferson Nichols.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So there's more of those, of course, because
Yeah.
they're, yeah.
Collect, yeah.
Well, I'm going to pay more attention to my coins now, Evan.
Never know what's
Thank you for
hiding.
listening.
Oh, sure. No,
Yeah.
thank you for sharing. You've inspired
Yeah.
us to like look around. I'm gonna go to my cushions under my couch and see what coins are hiding there. There might be a special one.
I have found a lot of old coins in people's houses just laying around. Like
Mhm.
actually, Dean found a buffalo nickel behind an oven, which
Okay,
somebody
sure.
moved.
Sure.
Hmm.
Great. Well, thank you guys all for
Yeah.
sharing with us tonight. That was really, really nice and enjoyable to get to see a closer view or understanding of what people have and why they collect and where their interest lies. So I appreciate it. And thank you, Bob, for giving us that whole show
Yeah.
and tell. That was wonderful.
Yeah. That's
Mm.
really, I know where that Grace building is in Hardwick, Bob. I never
Yeah, the old
really,
firehouse.
now I really appreciate I just appreciate it all so much more. Thank you for that. Yeah.
Excellent.
That's
Well, does
great.
anyone have any other questions or anything they might want to add? Good. Well, thank you for everyone for being here tonight and sharing with us and adding your collections to our online collection show. And I know Mihaela's been putting them up each day, so it's kind of exciting just to go online and see all of, our work put together with her hard work of how to present it. So it was really cool. Thank you, Mihaela, for doing that.
Yes, wonderful job. It's been
Yep.
really nice seeing the different things appear every day.
That's
And
right.
if anyone hasn't seen it, Leela did a slide presentation with pictures from one of the old engine shows that was
Oh,
at the
yes.
old stone house with musical accompaniment by Mary Hoyt Wood's father, Darrell Hoyt of Orleans in his 90s, playing the piano. So if you haven't seen that video, it's really a lot of fun.
Okay.
That was released yesterday.
Yes, I saw it. It was great, Leela.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Thank you. Well, if you guys are ready to, we can close our Zoom session and enjoy the rest of the evening.
Okay. Thank you so
Well, we
much
hope we'll see
again.
some of you tomorrow
Thank you.
when
Yes.
Rachel Ona will be with us.
Yep.
Bye.
Yes, same link.
Yep. Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Lovely
Mihaela, feel
presentation.
better.
Oh, thanks.
All
Lovely
right.
presentation. Well done.
Thank you, Carmen.
Thank you, Carmen.
And Bob, Molly just wanted you to know she had to leave. It wasn't working for her very well, but she really appreciated the beginning of your presentation. So she thought it was wonderful. So I just wanted to share that with you from Molly. Oops, you're muted.
Thanks.
Sure,
It's been a lot of fun. Good
It
to
was
see everyone.
really neat. Thanks, Bob, for putting that together for this. So I think folks were really interested in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All
I
right, well, we'll
enjoyed
see
meeting the
everyone tomorrow
cousins.
night.
Yeah. See you tomorrow night, and we'll back.
It's the same. This is the same link, Bob, for Ray. I didn't send it to you because it's the same one that you have if you were planning
Perfect.
on coming to Rachel's, but same link and password and all that good stuff.
All right, great. Well,
Great.
Okay.
see you tomorrow.
Have a good
Thanks.
evening.
See you guys tomorrow.
Good
Okay,
night.
Good night,
bye-bye.
everybody.
Bye.